This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
You're damn right it's time for the show. Yeah. Happy New Year.
You did it now. Happy New Year.
I did it. Happy New Year to you, Alex.
Happy New Year to you, Kenny.
I know we did it. Welcome to the 2024 edition of Fan Controlled Fandom. We are back, and we took a week off to get rested, to holiday like nobody's business, holiday like no one's watching. How were your holidays, by the way?
I lived, laughed, and loved my way through the holidays. Really terrific stuff. But really great.
In what font did you live, laugh, love?
Papyrus, baby.
Yeah. If you walk into someone's kitchen and they got one of those live, laugh, love wooden things above their stove in papyrus, you have to get out of that house immediately.
Yeah, they will wear your skin, or at least try to.
I love it. We are firing on all cylinders. And this is Fan Controlled Fandom. This is Fan Controlled Fandom. This is all things cape space. This is people wearing capes in your content. If you turn on your TV or go to your Cinemaplex or put your phone on watch mode, and in that thing that you were watching, someone's wearing a cape, we're probably talking about it. So we're talking like superhero stuff, fantasy realm knights on horses and whatnot, space stuff. Specifically, we're talking about some very spacey, capey Space Today stuff. Right. Rebel Moon Part 1, the Child of Fire non-director's cut. Oh, God, you get it. That's the title of the show.
It was one of the movies I've seen.
Yeah, it is a movie that I have seen recently, and we're going to talk about it because it was the #1 movie on Netflix for 2 straight weeks, which is saying something. But first, we got a lot of things we got to get to. We have to get to the quick pieces of nerd news. Oh, first of all, BC Lion says good afternoon from West Vancouver, BC, and a shout out to listeners and viewers from around the world. Shout out to you, BC Lion. I always love seeing you in the chat because I'm a big BC Lions fan. Yes.
Hell yeah. And you know what? I'm just a fan of fans. So I just love the enthusiasm that I see crackling between you two. It's just great to see just good Christian fellowship.
Incredible. Before we get to the quick pieces of nerd news, real quick, we mentioned your holidays. Favorite gift that you received and or gave over the holidays?
That's a really good question. You know what? I gave my wife a little necklace that had an A on it for Alex, and she was really tickled by it. She loves wearing it, and so I really, that's my favorite gift that I gave. I can't think of my favorite one that I received. I got like a lot of really good, cool, off the wall stuff. Like my father-in-law gave me a drone with a camera in it.
Okay,
our friends gave me Nerf guns. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Come back to me. Same question to you. What was your favorite?
Well, first, I'm glad that you told your wife that it stands for Alex and it wasn't a scarlet letter A. And then my favorite gift.
I'm just getting this out of the way now.
We did this year. Normally, I get my wife a gift. My daughter gets her a gift. We get each other gifts. And my wife said, hey, this year, I'm going to get all the gifts for each other. Like, I'm getting it. Don't worry about, you don't have to get me anything for Christmas. I'm not going to get you anything, et cetera, et cetera. So, Santa Claus came and gave my daughter gifts. And then it's also my wife's birthday on Christmas Day. So we gave her birthday presents later in the day. But it was revealed that she was able to get a discounted rate on tickets to the most magical place on earth. So we're going to Disneyland in a couple of weeks. And we got genie passes for the Star Wars place. So I'm going to be face to face with some real Guga, some real Cape Space stuff very soon.
Have you been on Rise of the Resistance?
I have not been to Disneyland since they have created the Star Wars land. And I basically told my family that we drop me off there. I don't care what you guys do for the rest of the day. You sporadically check in with me and make sure I'm still alive. And but I'm going to be here for a while. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be, flying around with a lightsaber that I'm not going to purchase because they're incredibly expensive, just living my best life as a full blown dork.
I've seen my father cry 3 times in my life. One of them was when we rounded the corner and he came face to face with a full-sized, fully realized Millennium Falcon. That was the second time I ever saw him cry. The third time was when he saw how much they were charging for the custom lightsabers. You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
Pricey. Pricey.
I don't quite know how I'm going to feel when I get to sit in the cockpit. I told my family I'm driving when we do that ride with the Millennium Falcon. I'm driving. Maybe I'm not driving, but I'm at least pushing the hyperspace lever.
You fly. The pilots in the Smuggler's Run, one of them is up and down, the other one is side to side, and you're actually like affecting things. You can crash it. There's a score. You're gonna lose your man, you know what? It would be great if I could have some kind of stroke or debilitating illness where I could lose the part of my brain that went to it and I go back and do it for the first time over again. It was incredible.
I want that for you, and I want there to be no after effects. I also want to point out that my daughter she's been crocheting. I wanted to point out she made me this necklace. She crocheted this. It's not a puka shell necklace, but boy, does it sure look like one.
It really does, and it's cool. It looks good on you, man.
Thank you very much. All right, now that we've just been pussyfooting around for 7 minutes, why don't we get to the
welcome to Chit Chat with Kenny and Alex, where we just kind of catch up for an hour and leave it at that.
Fan controlled friendship. FCF.
Yeah,
welcome to the new FCF, fan controlled friendship, in which you have no say because it's not fan control, but it's it's the same branding. Anyway, this is the time of the show where we talk about the quick pieces of nerd news. There's a stinger. Here it is. Quick hits.
I forgot to point to the sky for the stinger. I had a coffee in my hand.
Oh, but coffee at 12:15, big time.
Hey, it's 9 a.m. on the Nepali coast for our viewers in Hawaii.
Yes, that's very true. No, it's only 2 hours behind. They don't have daylight savings out there on the island, so it's
God bless them. That's one more reason we should just give it back to them. Give it back to the Hawaiians.
Thank you very much. That's a very great idea. Now, we are going to be talking at great length about the movie Rebel Moon Part 1. Stars are aligned in the flying spaceships, director's cut, non-director's cut. There is a director's cut of this movie that is apparently going to be coming before we get the second half of this movie that is coming in April. I had to put this here. This is like week-old news, but this will segue, kind of tease into what we're going to be talking about later. But during an interview, Zack Snyder, when asked what fans can expect from the Rebel Moon extended cut, he says, way more brutal, more bizarre, Verhoeven-esque, more RoboCop than you know, in the way that it uses violence as another character. Oh, and there's a lot of sex in it.
Right.
And sci-fi fantasy. Holy moly. Just to kind of tee up what we're going to be talking about. This movie opens with a full-blown implied orgy. So if that's what's happening if this extended cut director's cut that he's teasing is just like 20 minutes of like hardcore sex, I'm just like, is this needed for the story? I guess.
I love it when somebody says it's going to be like this, and you look at them and say, you have no idea what that actually means, or your version of it will bear no resemblance to anybody else's notion of Verhoeven. I'm sorry if we're outside of the bubble that we created for the review later, but I love Zack Snyder. I don't know that he has the filmic literacy to do something like Verhoeven. It takes quite a bit of filmic literacy to make a RoboCop in retrospect, right? Like,
Yeah.
The
No,
the
we
violence is
are.
a character. Zachary, let's sit down and have a talk. I think you
Yeah,
need
we're
to have a
definitely.
talk.
Yeah, we're definitely teeing up what we're going to be talking about later. It's a brief tease, but like, yeah, to to say that you are, yeah, this movie already is trying to do 5 things at once. Like, it's already trying to do the Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven. It's already trying to be / not be Star Wars, and then to all of a sudden then say it's also Verhoeven, RoboCop. Like the
Right.
movie, like if you're gonna say Verhoeven, and Total Recall is the movie that I think you would want this to be kind of a comp for, not RoboCop, but okay,
Maybe
there's so.
Starship Troopers, but here's the
Well, no,
thing. Like,
Starship Troopers definitely, with the way they decided to make the Empire. I'm sorry, the mother world. Go ahead.
again, this is so like
We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's save it.
like
I just wanted to put that in people's heads before we got going in.
But that comp on its face reveals how just bombastically enormous that swing is. I'll just say it in the kindest words possible. Like, to me, and I think a lot of other people, the kinds of metaphorical film that RoboCop and Star Wars are kind of diametrically opposed to each other. They are both dealing in metaphor. They are both, in their way, comments on the modern condition, but from completely different, and I think incompatible angles.
Oh, holy! Unless you somehow go ahead.
No, I think that it goes. It's just all right if you can make that work, but just know you're trying to make a chocolate cake out of fish sticks.
Yes. I was gonna say, unless he's somehow gonna make Anthony Hopkins, like in this non-director's cut, the Anthony Hopkins robot like is the third character in the film, and we get more of his backstory, I guess.
Wait a
But
minute.
I don't.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
He also has a gold robot named Anthony. Jesus Christ! This is too.
There's so much. No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
But speaking of another director whose director's cut that we've been talking about a lot here and there is this supposed David Ayer Suicide Squad cut that people, and this is a product of the fact that we gave the trolls the Snyder cut of Justice League. So now they've been empowered to think that we could get whatever the heck we want. If something's bad, I bet the director's cut was better. He finally said this week, he was speaking about the ongoing drama surrounding the Suicide Squad on X. A fan asked Ayer point blank if he's still fighting to release an extended version of the villain-centric ensemble film. And he said, nope, done and done. Very sad. You'll be done after a good cry. I feel healthier. It's a wound that needs to heal. Holy moly. Holy moly.
There's a really great joke in the chat. I think it's a little bit of a play on words. I think it'll confuse people.
David Ayer's yesterday's news.
Because his name is Ayer. Yesterday.
Ayer, sí. Ayer en español.
Claro que sí.
David Ayer. Yeah, this is one of these things where, thank God, like I just want this to stop. I know that this only really lives on X, which is now officially become a website for just like, people who live under the bridge and want to like just like sit in their homes and are like, I bet there's a better version of whatever thing we got. Like, art is art. Sometimes doesn't work. And especially in the case of Suicide Squad, which was not a good movie. Period. No. End of story. Justice League was not a good movie. And then getting the Snyder cut did not somehow make it better. It made it infinitely longer. And more of the things that did not work when we got it originally. So you know what?
Yeah. The most interesting part of Suicide Squad by a country mile is the behind the scenes machinations and the stories of its production, the story behind the advertising agency trailer cutting company Trailer Park actually creating a cut of the movie That happened. There
I
is
know.
a cut of Suicide Squad that exists out there that was cut by a trailer house because the first teaser of Suicide Squad was so impactful and successful that the executives knew, like, they knew the theatrical cut is not going to match this. So we just let these people have at. But
Release that cut.
Release the trailer park cut, dude.
That trailer for Suicide Squad is fantastic. It is.
Yeah, the
good.
first one, the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, was incredible. It made me believe. I was like, when I'd already soured on this whole universe as it was starting, and then I'm like, they're doing Will Smith and the Suicide. Okay, and I saw that trailer, and I said, oh yeah, if it's that, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's crazy. What's so great about the James Gunn Suicide Squad is he basically gave that, like what was teased in the trailer park trailer for the Suicide Squad, David Ayer Suicide Squad. That's what we got. And, there is obviously some good that came out of that movie. We got Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, which I don't care whatever the hell Lady Gaga's doing. It's not going to be better than what Margot Robbie has done in that role. But whatever. But there was some positive things that came out of that movie, quote unquote. But I mean, it just goes to show that when you're going to make these things, you have to know, and this is going to kind of play into when we talk about Rebel Moon, you have to know what the tone is you're going for. And that's what James Gunn has proven that he can do, because he knows what tone he's approaching this with, and that's what he delivers. And you've hired David Ayers because he was so gritty. And he did these gritty dramas and End of the Watch and all these and so that's what you wanted, but then that's not what you really wanted, because it's that
it's a
gritty
comic book movie.
Yeah, that gritty stuff with Goo Guy Joker's girlfriend who used to be his, psychiatrist, but his insanity turned her insane, and it just doesn't work. Period.
Right. It's I don't know who's asking for it. Are they really yeah, it's very strange to me.
The reason why I brought it up is, so guess what? Now we don't have to talk about it ever again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kenny, in a movie that's actually happening, and a movie that we actually are very interested in, and I didn't even know that this was actually happening, but the Thunderbolts is going to start shooting later this year, and apparently Walking Dead and Minari actor Steven Yeun was supposed to be in this movie. I did not know that he was cast in the movie.
Well, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago that Robert Kirkman had leaked that Steven Yeun, who'd been cast, was going to be playing the Sentry.
Yes. And so he just today sent out yesterday, apologized to Marvel fans because he has to drop out of the project due to scheduling conflicts. He cited the strike as one reason for bowing out because of his schedule, because it became so many projects put on hold. Now they're all overloaded. He said, I think for me, time passing and things shifting kind of pulled me out of it. And
Marvel's not doing as well as people thought it would.
Yeah. It took a lot of drafts on email to make sure that I conveyed the sincerity of how sorry I was to have to back out. He did say, I want to do a Marvel movie. I have some ideas, but I heard if you put it out there, you'll never get it. So I'm going to keep it close to my chest. This is kind of a bummer. I gotta be honest with you. I think he is such a wonderful performer. If you saw Minari, I mean, he's always great on Walking Dead, but watching him on Minari or on Beef, he's fantastic on that. He's a performer who brings a level of can bring the certain amount of gravitas to the Guga, because Walking Dead is is a totally goofy show, and he was able to make all that stuff feel really real and grounded. And it's a bummer.
I agree. I think that he's such a dynamic performer. The only thing I don't know he can do is sing and dance, but he should absolutely be one of those people that I can't think of any names right now, but there are people that are just everywhere. They're cast in everything. You see them all the time. He should be one of those people. He can do it all. Oscar-worthy dramatic performance in Minari. He can handle all sorts of different kinds of comedy.
Yes.
You see him in Beef. You see him in I Think You Should Leave. The
Yeah.
guy gets it. He's a superstar. I'm waiting for that guy to absolutely explode.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer because I think that's always been really that Marvel has always done a good job, and I think they will continue to do a good job. Is big swings casting. I've always thought they've made. I was the other night was watching one of my sentimental favorites is the Eternals,
Mm,
and like Hollywood darling Barry Keoghan or Cohagen or whatever you want to say his name is in that movie as Druig. And this is like before he was in Banshees of Inisherin.
right.
This is before he was cast as the Joker, which was then removed from I guess the post-credit scene, but there was a scene of him in Batman in the movie, which they then released in the director's in the DVD. He is in Saltburn, which is a bonker balls movie if you've seen Saltburn.
Can't wait.
But they cast him as Druig in the Eternals, and I was like, look at that inspiring casting choice. They found this person who is like, this guy's about ready to pop, and guess what? He is. And then now, I've been reading a bunch of stuff on the Reddits and threads, and all the goofballs who say they have scoops. There is the scuttlebutt is that the Eternals aren't going to go away. They're going to come back in some form, shape, or form. And then for them to be able to be like, hey, guess what? We've already got this guy under a contract, this guy who you love from Saltburn and this Academy Award nominated goofball from Banshees of Inisherin. We've already got him under contract. Beep, beep,
Yep.
done.
He's gonna play our little magic man in our Guga movie.
Yep. Guess what?
I mean,
who could probably get rid of Kang really quickly? Druig. He manipulates minds and has people think whatever they want. He could do it all.
I'm with it. I'm for it.
Ooh.
Pro it.
Ooh, what if you cast him? What if you? This would be inspiring. This is an inspiring casting choice.
I'm ready.
You make Druig the person who's been pulling the strings behind Kang the whole time. So because he can manipulate, and he was always somebody who he had to be kind of talked into the mission of that movie. Who's to say? And that would be he could carry that. He could carry the big overall baddie very easily.
Kenny, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love those big, beautiful brains on you.
Thank you very much. I've got 2 of them.
One in your tail.
Yes, exactly. We are getting another Star Wars
like
movie.
The mighty Brontosaurus. Okay, yes, another Star Wars movie.
The movie Ronto. Yes,
Ronto.
We are officially in 2024. We are going. It's supposedly happening. There is going to be a Star Wars movie is going to start shooting, directed by, and I apologize if I do not say this name correctly, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. She was, I believe, what is her background? She worked on a couple of episodes of Ms. Marvel. That's right. She worked on Ms. Marvel. She directed 2 episodes of Ms. Marvel. And she said in a recent interview, because this is going to start shooting very soon. This movie she is doing the Daisy Ridley Ray spin-off movie that is supposed to take place 15 years after the rise of Skywalker. And she recently expressed her excitement on being tied to Star Wars. She said, I'm very thrilled about the project because I feel that what we are about to create is something very special. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away, to which I say, hell, mother effing yes.
Yeah. I mean, we were already kind of, well, the entirety of this phase has really been shaped by a woman. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is the ruler of everything Lucasfilm. But I agree. And I think that they've made a concerted effort to make women a centerpiece of the new Lucasfilm overall. I mean, Kiri Hart is I think she's the overseer of the story group. She basically is the ruler of continuity. They were talking to Patty Jenkins about doing her Rogue Squadron movie.
Yes, so that fell apart.
But I think that now with a female oriented movie, like, yeah, it makes sense. Let's get a female oriented gaze on it, huh?
I love this so much because they're, coming out of their last movie, which was made and kind of steered in such a way to kind of appease the people who were so upset about the way Last Jedi turned out. And even though Rey is still very much like the star of that movie, that movie, The Rise of Skywalker, has so much going on in it that it's like I don't really feel like her story. Like, to me, at that very end of that movie, when she decides to call herself Rey Skywalker, I love it. I love her like golden lightsaber that she pulled out of this. All that stuff was really cool. I just don't know, after thinking about it, if it was like fully earned, because we just were breezing, flying by in that movie. So much stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, this girl is also Lando's daughter. So to be able to take some time and really try to give that character, I'm assuming this movie is not going to be like a standalone. I'm assuming they're hoping that the movie does well and they're going to make a whole bunch of them. But to be able to give that character some space and give her a little bit more of an arc, but then have that be led by a female director, I love it. I think this is awesome.
I agree. And I think that Star Wars is something that will always win out in the end because it's a long game. There's so much now that even misfires, stuff that people kind of are hinky about, like Snoke. Snoke now provides this whole strand cast story to so even stuff that's a misfire can, in retrospect, become more world building, more places to spend time with characters in a way that we do appreciate and enjoy, like Clone Wars. I'm not a big fan of those prequels, but I'll watch Clone Wars all day long.
I would watch Clone Wars over the prequels every single day of the week. The fact
and to kind of sum up what I was saying is like that, now the ancillary material and everything makes this totality that is more even and interesting and can support, deeper viewing. So, in 10 years, we'll have enough stuff to go like, oh yeah, now the through line of Rey really does make sense. Now that we have all this material that we can look at in full, and especially newer fans who weren't around to watch the sequels in the theater, weren't around to kind of track how that continuity was building, getting to look at it all as one big swing, like they'll make it work.
Yeah, it's that I've mentioned before. The book that I'm listening to on Audible, Shadow of the Sith, takes place after Return of the Jedi, like maybe 20 years after Return of the Jedi. So we're still 10 years away from, I guess we're 12 or 14, because Rey is 6 in the book. It's
15 years post Jedi.
Yeah, but I don't know in terms of where we are before Force Awakens. I don't know. It just depends on how old Rey is supposed to be in Force Awakens, but she's 6 in this. And it's filling that gap. We're learning a little bit about who her dad was, because unfortunately her dad was made to be some sort of Palpatine person, which they solved that real quick. Because as soon as I heard that she was Palpatine's granddaughter, I was like, wait, so Palpatine was like, spraying his seed all over the galaxy? Like, what's going on?
Spraying? Kenny, you're not allowed to say spraying on Twitch.
But they explain what he is and yada yada. So yeah, you can go back and fix things, which is what Star Wars has been doing now, I guess, for the past almost 20 years now since Clone Wars came out. So
I mean,
that's kind
Kenny,
of the new.
1978, they re-released the movie and add Episode 4, A New Hope. Like, revising and revisionist history has been a part of Star Wars from its very inception. I mean, the idea of the cut that Lucas made versus what got to the theaters, it's been all about tweaking and fixing.
Release the Lucas cut. Release the Lucas cut.
I want to see Journal of the Wills Part 2. You can't.
McClunky. And the Lucas one, Greedo says McClunky.
Yes, McClunky.
McClunky. All right, one more little quick piece of news. This movie we talked about a little bit before. There's a Minecraft movie coming, which just sounds insane. If you've ever played Minecraft, it's like a world building game. But Jason Momoa has already been announced as starring in this movie, and then they just announced that Jack Black is set to co-star in this film. As well as featuring Emma Myers from Wednesday, Danielle Brooks, who actually might be nominated for an Oscar for The Color Purple. And he's supposed to set to voice Claptrap. No, he is going to voice Claptrap in the Borderlands movie. He's just doing a lot of stuff right now, but I don't know. The fact that you want to put Jack Black in a Minecraft movie, I'm like, okay, sure, that I'm in. Jack Black and Jason Momoa, that sounds like an electric lineup.
I'm with it. I think Jason Momoa is also he's going to play himself.
Really?
No, I don't know.
I mean, well, you should, of course. We have not done Aquaman on this. We teased doing Aquaman on the show, but we had heard nothing but terrible things about it. So, which we'd
Yeah.
only heard about this movie that we're doing as well. But at least we didn't have to leave the house to watch it. So I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I think there's something to, like, if you were to, he can play a villager. They just make sounds. Yeah, that's right. He does. Jack Black playing a villager. There's something to, like, a thing that sounds ultimately unfilmable, like Minecraft, but to then find some way to do it, and then the way you make it seem at least interesting is casting some, watchable people in it.
I'll just say two little words: Lego movie. Like, what's
Yeah.
filmable about Lego? I mean, that's not even world building. That's just building, kind of, nebulous. That they found a way to build a world out of your own personal experience with it, which is like the same thing as Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I'll give anything a shot. It will at least be interesting.
Yeah, between, that's a good comp too. Dungeons and Dragons, between Lego Movie and the Dungeons and Dragons movie we got last year, which was just a real freaking treat of a film. Like, they seem to find ways, because I remember back in like the 90s and like the previous Dungeons and Dragons movie, usually when they announced movies that were based on properties that didn't have like real like linear stories, they usually sucked. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that a lot of times licensed films like that, the focus was on it. Well, it was a generic movie that just happened to have these pieces of IP in them. But the shift has been, Barbie's an example of this, like centering on your experience with the IP as a consumer and how to tell a story around that, rather than here's the story of the Super Mario Brothers. And they're underground and there's lizards.
That movie was so unbelievably stupid. Like, I can't, the Super Mario Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo movie is just ridiculous. And Dennis Hopper as King Koopa. I mean, it just was like, how do you screw this up so bad? Like, I just like so bad. Like, you go to and this is what the animated movie did such a good job of, is that, like, if you go to see this, you want to have a good time, but yes, you want to play into that person's experience, and you hit these things that make people feel like they are watching a Super Mario Brothers movie. When you watch that live action one, it doesn't even feel like you're watching Mario Brothers. They're just like, there's nothing in it that tracks with the game story, nothing. It's just like, what are we doing?
The barest amount of imagery, like their costumes sort of have the same silhouette, but like the Goombas, the character design of the Goombas are like the reverse of what the actual game sprite is. The game sprite's like a huge thing on top, little on bottom. These are little things on top, big on bottom, and it's like, why any of it? We don't need a deep dive on what a pile of garbage 90s Super Mario Brothers movie is.
That the point being is that that's what we used to get. And then now we do get things like the Lego movie, Super Mario Brothers, Barbie, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, just three of the Dungeons and Dragons and Barbie came out last year. And if you would have told somebody 5 years ago that two of the best movies in 2023 are going to be a movie about Barbie and a movie about Dungeons and Dragons, I would have been like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Nope. Barbie's the best movie I saw all last year, period, end of story. And I think it should win Best Picture. Fight me. Truly, 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 truly.
It's up there. I don't know. I haven't thought enough about, and I haven't seen some of the crop of award movies this year to really form an opinion. It is one of the best movies I've seen in a while.
Well, really strap in when you watch that Saltburn, baby. Strap in.
And strap on, if I heard correctly. Oh,
yes.
Hey.
Yes. Anyway.
To make the donuts. Okay.
Yes. Let's get to the, we're on the Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment Network, Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment Twitch feed, YouTube stream, Twitch, Twitter stream, X. We are so live on X right now. We do one piece of sports news every week. Alex, take us out to the racetrack.
We're back again in the silly season with Formula One news. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the former Alfa Romeo team, Alfa Romeo has been removed as a badge sponsor of the Sauber team. So Sauber has a new title sponsor until Audi takes over. And they had initially announced that the team's name was something like the Sauber Racing Stake Formula One Racing Team, something like that. It was even more gobbledygooga than the normal F1 news is. But now they've officially announced that for the next 2 seasons, they will be the Stake F1 team. Stake, Stake. I think it's a sports betting site, which is, you always definitely want gambling to be front and center in your sports organizations and operations. So just one more little piece of a very ethical pie for Formula One race fans. Back to you, Kenny.
I love that. Speaking of betting in your sports, make sure you download the fan-controlled app, the Control app. You're not necessarily betting. You can it's all like play money, but there are things to fake wager on every single day. It's a great app. I just voted on some Serie A football, which is Italian soccer for those of you not in the know. Alex.
See, and it's fun. It's not going to ruin your life. Your wife's not going to leave you.
Exactly.
She'll leave you for the other stuff you do.
My big sports news. Fan-controlled football is its own thing. It does not consider itself to be a spring league like any of the other like alternative football leagues. It's its own thing because it's a different audience. But last spring in 2023, we had not one but 2 alternative football leagues. We had the XFL and the USFL happening at the same time. I previously announced that they were had intentions to merge. That merge last week was made official. They officially merged the 2 leagues. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his former wife / manager, Danny Garcia, announced on ESPN the new league is called the UFL, and it will have 3, sort of 4 teams from the USFL and 4 teams from the XFL. The teams from the XFL, there's going to be 2 divisions. There's going to be an XFL division, which is going to be the San Antonio Brahmas. Of course, the Rock's team is still going to be involved. The St. Louis Battlehawks, the DC Defenders, and the Dallas Renegades, who were the champions of the XFL. On the USFL division, there's going to be the Birmingham Stallions, the 2-time USFL champions, the Memphis Showboats, the Michigan Panthers, and then both XFL and USFL had Houston teams. What they did is they are keeping the name Houston Roughnecks, which is the XFL team, but it's basically the Houston Gamblers from the USFL. So if you were a member of the USFL's Houston Gamblers, the coach is the same. I believe they're going to have you allowed to keep like 20 of your 30 players if you had previously. So that's how that's functioning. So the Houston Roughnecks that were playing on the field last year, not existing, but the Houston Gamblers are, and they are now called the Houston Roughnecks. And so that is a league that is coming in March 30 of this year. So that's a thing that's happening. The USFL and the XFL have merged to become the UFL.
This is incredible, and I'm very excited to watch the Gambling Roughnecks really take it to the house this year.
Take it to the Memphis Showboats. I made it very clear when it came out. I was like, there is not, because the only team, the XFL when it was in 2020 had an LA team. Then when the USFL announced in 2021, there were no teams like west of the Mississippi. And then the XFL came back, got rid of the LA team, kept the Seattle team. And I was like, okay, great. And there was a Seattle team and one in Vegas. And then now between the UFL, there is not a team west of the Mississippi again. Texas is as far west as this league goes. So I very much was like, hey, can we get a team on the West Coast, please, please, please?
Yeah, I think that, we need something out here. Something, we got Rams
there's nothing
and
to do out
Chargers.
here. There's nothing to do out here in LA.
It's a wasteland of professional sporting.
Sorry, I have a work message I have to respond to.
You better work.
Hey-o.
Well, do you mind if I get to work? Because I think I've got some biz dev.
Yeah, you know what? I know what. I know you've been doing your hard work. So why don't you give us our corporate sponsor for the week?
Yeah, I as usual, I've pounded the pavement to get some corporate underwriting for this episode. And this week's corporate underwriting sponsor is Captain Larry Noodle's Earthquake Supply Warehouse. It's a new business on Wilshire. Pertinent. We just had a 4.5 out of Big Bear today. And so Captain Larry Noodle's
felt
Earthquake
it.
Supply
I felt
Warehouse
that
has a
earthquake.
what's that?
I felt that earthquake today.
Yeah, it was incredible. But Captain Larry Noodle's Earthquake Supply Warehouse has a selection so good you'll be quaking in your boots. They just want to highlight some of their items on offer. They have drinking water and drinking water tablets to sanitize water, as well as other water gathering supplies. They have those metal blankets that look like a fancy balloon that the EMTs put around you when you've been in a disaster. They've got a bunch of those. They also have Captain Larry Noodle's patented earthquake vitamins. Studies show that most earthquake survivors are up on their vitamins. Our compounded tablets are packed full of vitamins A through K. You'll be able to pee a hole through the toilet. Bicep emoji. That's Captain Larry Noodle's Earthquake Supply Warehouse. The selection's so good you'll be quaking in your boots.
Bicep emoji. I love that the copy includes you to read the actual emoji that goes with it.
It's actually just says bicep emoji. It's not even the emoji. It says the phrase. I think they were typing it on their phone. Anyway.
I love that. Yeah, get ready for them earthquakes, baby, because they're happening whether you know it or not. You never
stay
know.
Stay up on your vitamins, generally.
You never know. Stay up on your vitamins. Oh, boy. All right. Let's get to the main, a cool 40 minutes in. Let's get to the main topic.
Yeah.
Rebel Moon, the #1 movie on Netflix since it premiered in December of 2023. Rebel Moon Part 1, The Child of Fire. This is, again, is the non-director's cut because there's a director's cut of this movie apparently coming that, as we teased earlier, has quote-unquote more sex. Let me give a quick, I will try my hardest to recap this movie as fast as possible. Yeah, you know what? Here, I'm not going to read the... I'm not going to read the Wikipedia. I'm just going to do as best as I can. This movie is The Magnificent Seven, or the Seven Samurai. Basically, there is a small little town, and in that town, there is a character by the name of Korra, who we don't know much about her, but we know that she has a troubled past. A big kind of bad, they're called these, I don't know, his name is Noble. He's from the quote-unquote mother world, and wants this place to give him grain so he can feed his troops because it's directly in his route in between places. That goes wrong. This person, Korra, has to go out and find people to go out and protect the village. She finds 7 people. We don't learn much about any of them. Then turns out one of them decides to turn on them and turn them back into Noble, and they fight. And that's how this movie, that's basically this movie that I hit. That's basically the beats, right? That's what everything I hit.
Yeah. Big fight with Noble. Noble
we'll
dies.
Get there. So there we go. So there's a big fight. One of the members that we think was of the Magnificent Seven, called his name was Blood Axe. He sacrifices himself to save everybody, so he dies. And there's a big fight between Korra and Noble, and you think Noble is dead, but then he is brought back from the dead at the end of this movie, a la Darth Vader. And so that's basically this movie. Alex and I decided when we were watching this yesterday that we are going to start this off by saying 2 things each that we enjoyed about this film. But yes, to give context, this movie, we've said before, is a script that Zack Snyder was developing. We're not sure how far along it was, but the pitch on it was to Star Wars. When Disney acquired Star Wars, the pitch was a 7 Samurai, which is the Kurosawa film, which was made into a Western called The Magnificent Seven, which was recently updated by Denzel Washington and Antoine Fuqua, starring Chris Pratt, also very prevalent in the Cape Space. It's the same storyline as that, but this was originally designed to be a Star Wars movie that he then kind of repurposed and made it Netflix. Alex, let's take turns here. Let's say 2 things we enjoyed about this film. Do you want me to go first, or do you go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, and then we'll probably have a lot to say beyond these things that we liked. Go ahead.
It wasn't The Flash.
That is that's a low bar, though.
That's not actually. It's enormous. It's really ambitious. Like, it is an enormous, big, huge movie. It's the kind of movie generally on its face that I think sci-fi fans and genre fans should get excited about. I think it's, for me, it's great to see new science fiction IP, whatever else, that there is a, as usual, Zack Snyder got to kind of do whatever he wanted, and that's clear. And I think that's cool.
Positive corner right now. We're in
It's
positive.
all up on the screen. It's all up on the screen. Like,
yes.
Just no holds barred.
I'm going to yes and that and say that, yeah, there is something really cool about this being like, even though, well, we're positive corner. This is a brand new, this doesn't necessarily come, this is not based on a book. This is not based on, and we know it's based on something, but yeah, it's really cool to see something big and broad that is new, quote unquote, in the kind of genre space. And in terms of world building, in terms of like where this could go, there, like it's very open. I would also say this is kind of like a 1A for me. The movie is extremely watchable. Like there isn't like, it's not something that, there are a couple scenes that drag, but for the most part, it's not like a tough watch. Like The Flash, I remember just groaning, or like Black Adam, things that we've like, or Avatar was just The Way of Water, which is another movie that was like, if I would say a positive, is that it creates, it's a world building, wholly original, but it was just an absolute slog to get through. I felt like I was being tortured. This movie is not like a tough watch by any means. Like it's definitely something you can get through, which is
right.
That's my one. Do you have something else
endurable?
Yeah.
I think it is a really great display of something that you and I have mutually agreed we both appreciate about Zack Snyder, is his visual sense. It is a really wonderful display of what this gentleman knows how to do with a camera. It really is. And he does his thing with the lens. It's great. You cannot dispute that he has a really incredible eye. I would love to see, he has the kind of eye that I would love to see focused a little more, maybe more in a direct, director of photography, cinematographer kind of sense. But this is a really, as most of his films tend to be, it's a really great display of his specific and admittedly great talent.
Yeah, I guess my two, I guess I have one more too, but because my two is very similar to that as well, is that I thought this movie, like, I would have loved to have seen this on the big screen. I think this movie is, you're right, like visually, this movie is so interesting. And there is like the whole opening sequences that take place on this planet with this huge, like we're on a moon, obviously, because the movie's called Rebel Moon. But there's this huge planet that you can see in every like night skyline. That's just interesting. And he definitely, like, the fight sequences are great, and the slow motion. He certainly loves it. He certainly loves to slow it down. But for a lot of this stuff, it really kind of works. Like the fight scenes and stuff are, we talk a lot about them. I think about other things that we didn't necessarily love, and a lot of the action feels like really heavy. What if it means if you're getting mooned by a rebel, though? I don't know, Freddie. I hope the second one answers that, Freddie Airmail.
As long as it's Rebel Wilson.
But
even those slow motion sequences, though, really great opportunities to look at what this guy knows to do with a screen. Like, you see, this guy knows art. He knows the dynamics of an image. There's a sequence where one of the characters is trying to tame this. It's a griffin, basically, and him leaping through the air, and the griffin, you get basically a slow enough motion that it's kind of a freeze frame for a little bit. And it's a very compelling kinetic image that it's almost hybridized fine art and film. That's amazing. Takes a kind of a genius to do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like stuff like some of the action sequences of where there's, I believe, Cora, it's like her flashbacks, and she's like hiding behind some sort of like, I don't know when it was, they were hiding behind some sort of like concrete slab, and laser fire is coming, and it's like blowing up alongside of her face, and it's in slow motion, and it's just like, the guy has an eye, because it's like the angle, the way we're seeing it, it's like you truly have not seen stuff like this, like, period. So like, and watching it being applied to something new as opposed to like the Justice League and stuff like that, where it starts to get really old really quick. For whatever reason, it just really played well here. Like, I think like a lot of his stuff works really, really well here. So if you're a big like Snyder person, you will love this movie, like, period, like, end of story. You don't have to ask for the director's cut because you'll love it. I'll say one more positive thing.
I think I have a more positive thing too.
Okay, great. I really, the Seven Samurai story, there's a reason why it works really well, because Kurosawa did it first. And then in the original Magnificent Seven, it works. Even in the Denzel Washington most recent update of it, it really works. There's something I always love, like getting a crew together. Like, that whole thing is always really fun. Like, we get two people, even like Ocean's 11, like that kind of stuff to me, as storytelling wise, or like things that I like to watch. I like that. And I think a lot of that stuff, I'm going to stay in positive corner here. A lot of the like gathering the people, those sequences really worked. I also really like Charlie Hunnam as an actor. I really like, I'm his grills we can talk about after we talk about, I've got a positive corner, but I like him as a performer. He's really great. I always think he's fun. So it was fun to see him in there. And that whole sequence in the bar with him, I thought really worked as well. Anyway, that's my last thing.
I'll agree with you about Charlie Hunnam. He absolutely, we've talked about people who show up and they get the assignment. And he's one of the people in this movie that absolutely knew, maybe more than anybody, knew what to do. And what they were really trying to do. And I'll say that I think they had a lot of fun making this. I think they took it. I
think he did, for sure.
He did, and that's, you can feel his enthusiasm for the movie, for movies, through this thing. You really can, even through your TV, you can feel it. That's infectious. And I to maybe segue out of this corner,
we're officially out now. We're now into real talk. Go ahead.
I said, I've said this before, various variations of this, but like, people need to stop saying, the 12-minute diatribes about why something sucks because there's a chick in it. And, that I tried to say, people shouldn't say they hate stuff. They should say, not for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate this movie. I really didn't, because I wasn't indifferent to it. That's the thing. Like, they say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And so all those people, the chuds out there that have all this hate, turn away. Wordlessly and soundlessly turn away. Speak with your dollars, but just soundlessly turn away.
Yeah, that's what I think I will say too, as we kind of slowly veer our way out of here into like the thick positive things that we're going to say about this movie is, like I said, it's watchable. Like, I didn't hate this movie either. Do I have a lot of issues with it? 100 million %.
Right.
But in terms of like my issues I've had with other Zack Snyder films, this movie is like way better than I think a lot of the things I've seen from him recently, because
100%.
It's watchable. Now, the things that I have that are nothing, I guess my issues with the movie are so, like, I don't know if it cares enough, but some of the things I felt like he should have cared a little bit more. Like the fact, one of my biggest beefs about this movie is that, like, we are not connected to anyone. Like, when they gather the Magnificent Seven, it is like, I don't, like, that guy dies, Blood Axe, sorry, spoiler alert, but not that you know who he is. That guy sacrifices himself, and it's intended to be this like huge moment. Like, he jumped across with his giant spear to go kill the guy in the cockpit who's firing at everybody on the landing strip, and he dies, and it's like, no! Someone literally screams no. And I'm like, I don't feel anything, because we just saw this guy like 20 minutes ago, and every single person is like, hey, we're looking for someone to join this. Everyone's like, yep. No one has to be talked into it. Every single person who's asked to join,
some of them have to do something first, though.
Yes, which I I have more. Yeah, yeah. That's like I'm in. Yeah, there's at least two people, and one of whom is like the guy riding the Griffin. I was like, this guy. I got a lot of notes about him, but like the woman who fought the like Spider Woman, she was great. I wanted to know so much about her, and we got we got like a sentence about how like her family was taken away from her. All right, well, let's watch her fight this spider thing, and we're like, okay, great.
Well, it's
like
part of some of the underlying racial issues with the movie.
Exactly, but there is like she was super interesting, and she like another. I don't know if I should talk about this now, but she definitely had lightsabers. So
yeah, it was the next thing on the checklist when it showed up. I was like, oh, they got that one too.
So like and like Jaimin Hansu is in this movie, who is always great in everything. We get like they tease that we have to go find this guy General Titus, and they're like, there's all this stuff of like, you got to be careful when you see this guy because you don't know what he's gonna do. And then when they find him, oh, he's just drunk on the street. He's just drunk. He's just totally out of it. And guess what? They clean him up, and they're like, hey, do you want to join us? And he's like, sure. And that's it. He doesn't even talk for like another like 15, 20 minutes of the movie.
His redemption arc is a bath.
Basically, yes. And it's like, I understand that we're trying to do a lot. There's 7, like if you watch even the most recent Antoine Fuqua, Denzel Washington, Magnificent 7, not everybody gets like a full backstory, but you have to give me like some reason as to why I should care any of these people are in the movie.
If I may posit something, in each of these instances, these movies that you're talking about, now I don't know Seven Samurai. I don't know if this applies to Seven Samurai, but the Magnificent Seven in both cases, I think there is something to, and Ocean's 11 that you brought up, the original and the remake. You get a shortcut because basically everybody that you've cast in your movie is somebody with whom the audience will have some kind of attachment. They already come in caring about this person. So the character that they're playing is already imbued with our emotion. I knew Charlie Hunnam. That's why I attached to him the most. He also got it. But
yeah, that's true. That's
everybody, nobody else. You don't have a shorthand with anybody else in the movie. Not in any way that Zack Snyder knows how to exploit effectively, really.
Yeah.
And so you're just left with, I guess it's like these characters are tissue paper. They get, something blown into them and then thrown away.
Yeah, as much as Zack Snyder, this movie shows not only what his greatest strengths are as a filmmaker, which is visual, but also his greatest weaknesses, which is storytelling and character development. And it's really fully on display because you don't get a lot of character development, which for some people is like, I don't need to know the full backstory of my favorite character, the female with the lightsabers, but I have to understand why she's there or why because it's literally like, hey, we need someone to get involved with this. All right, yeah, sure. Let me just kill this spider lady real quick. All right, I'm in. Like, and that's it. And then it's like, and then we don't get anything else about her for the whole rest of the time, and that kind of stuff. And even the guy from the farm, who was a very interesting character. The guy who basically threw Corey Stoll. By the way, Corey Stoll's braided beard. I want to talk about that next, about some of the production notes choices.
Yeah.
But he was this guy who basically was like, no, let's work with the mother world, and gets Corey Stoll killed. I'm like, well, this guy's really compelling. But even he's like, she turns to him and she's like, oh, you knew someone named General Titus, or you talked to the Blood Axes. Will you take me there? And he just goes, yes. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. Like, there's nothing stopping any of this from moving forward. And like, that's why also too, even when the bad guys get involved, they're not even given that much airtime either. So you don't really, even when Noble and that whole fight is going on, you still don't necessarily really care that much because you don't even understand why they're so bad.
By the way, there's so little in the way of this story just coming to its conclusion. The bad guys literally come to the heroes. Like, as the heroes are trying to decide, hey, we got to go back to this place, defend. Oh, no, they're here. Okay, shit, let's fight it out. Or pardon my French. I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
I just get so fired up about Rebel Moon Chapter 1 House of Gucci or whatever the hell it was called.
Oh, did you see that sidebar? Did you see that Adam Driver is just one of the most greatest human beings alive. He was asked in an interview recently about like because he did House of Gucci and then he did also Ferrari, and they were like, would you want to speak on the fact like of as to why you would why you're doing 2 back-to-back Italian accents? And he basically his response was like, no, I don't know. Shut the f up. Like I don't
Yeah.
like. Who cares? Like who?
He
No, it
told
was
the guy
it
to
was
shut the hell up.
who effing cares? I think is what he said. And I'm like, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. No, this
U.S.
movie-
Marine, baby.
Yes. Oh my god, he's the best. Anyway, yeah, there's just this real level of, and this is what I think is kind of what this takes us into this. You're right, because the enemies come to the good guys, and we never get to see what's so bad about the motherland, other than like this guy who they cast, his name is Ed Skrein, I think, whatever. He's really good. He always plays a bad guy. And there's that whole beginning scene with him and Corey Stoll and the guy from the farm. I think his name is Ben or Ken or whatever. I have the Wikipedia, but it's not that worth it because you don't get that much time with the people's names. Anyway,
by the way, down to the studs of the floorboards, it's the Hans Landa scene from Inglourious Bastards.
yes, and that was like, and that they did a good job. I was like, oh, that was actually kind of compelling. They did I did not know what was going to happen there, but it was very good. Other than that, that's all we know about these people, that they're bad. That's all we know. We don't even know why Cora is like left them. I'm assuming we're going to learn that in the next one, maybe, or why she's so haunted. I'm assuming it's because she probably killed the king. Like maybe, but we don't know. You don't. So that why should we care about her? Also,
Right.
Another. I want to get to the Star Wars next, but another thing that's terrible storytelling. This thing has 3 things in it that is, to me, shows his weakness as a storyteller. One is the opening voiceover by Anthony Hopkins. That is always terrible. Like when you're watching a movie and the voiceover has to basically explain the world to you, you're not starting off in a good, because that basically that's always added in afterwards. That's always given in effect. Like test screening is like nobody understands what's going on. All right, we'll just tack a voiceover onto the end. And then everything we learn about this character is all told. Any character is all told through stories. Like we learn about Cora through voiceovers. We don't need to have her sit down and the guy's just sitting there listening, going, I'm like, holy cow!
Well,
why don't you just show us those scenes? We don't have to have them set up by somebody like having flashing back. Why don't you just show us those things?
Back up. You just said the entire problem, Kenny. You said it kind of in reverse of how we usually talk about these things, but you said the only way we know or care about these characters or whatever is that you tell us. You need to show us. This is a show don't tell medium. And yeah, like your favorite character, Nemesis, she has every right to be against the motherworld. They killed her family. Oh, okay. We're just supposed to take for granted that, oh, we're okay, then good. We checked the box, you know her backstory or whatever. I think that this filmic literacy idea that I'm coming into, Zack Snyder does not know how to tell without showing and show without telling, which is the whole game of making a good movie.
Yes.
The things that he has felt for characters in movies he has seen that he cannot explain, he thinks the answer is, oh, because you tell them that it's a bad person. You tell them they want revenge. You tell them it's awful.
Yeah.
Look how bad they are to the Machine Man. They're bad guys. Like it's so it talks down in a way that I'm like, I know Zack Snyder's not stupid, but I think he thinks I am, or his audience is, or at least he's trying to talk to stupid people. There is doing a movie like this and making it successful is so much about feel. And it is so much about, for the most part, teamwork. And it is so much about not trying to make a thing. Star Wars didn't become Star Wars because somebody was trying to make Star Wars. It was an accident. Same thing with any big movie we love, any big story we love. Nobody was out there trying to do a thing. It happened by accident. We imbued it with that power as the viewers, not the creator.
Keep going. I have to do something real quick. Hold on. Keep going.
Yeah, so I think that, Zack Snyder is somebody who I think his first draft is always very explainy. He's always going to directly tell you how to think, how to feel about these characters. He's never going to just let it play out on screen. And I think that you know, if he were at a job interview and he got the "What's your greatest weakness?" question, the boss at the interview is asking Zack Snyder, "What's your greatest weakness as a filmmaker?" And he would say, in that way you're supposed to talk about your strengths and your weaknesses, he would say, "Well, you know, I'm a very visual storyteller." And so he just does not understand. I at least as far as what I've seen of his work, he does not have a grasp of narrative, of characters, of dialogue. It's not as hard. It's immensely difficult, nigh impossible, to do all of those things right. Certainly for one person, but I just
I know what you're saying.
I wanted this to be. I want him to be better. I want this to be good, but I think he needs to be. I think he needs to be just behind a camera and somebody else make. Because I'm just going to keep going here. This whole movie is a connected series of images he liked. It's not a story.
Yes.
It's not a sequence of events that happen to things are happening so conveniently, because he's literally just coming up with a way to get from the fight on the pier to the fight on the platform, because he has a cool idea for the visual of the fight on the platform. He has a cool idea of the visual of the very end of the movie of the robot with the antlers who's gone native. The visual at the very beginning, the first thing you see in this movie is a vagina opening up in space and then a space penis coming through it. That's the very first thing you see.
There's no way. There is no way in any there. It is a vagina. I'm sorry.
I'm going to show everybody. Hold on. I took a picture of it.
I know it's 1:15 in the West Coast and we're on Twitch and
we're doing
yada.
This.
But this movie opens up with like a portal opening, and Alex is going to show a picture. There is no way that you go through several meetings with, digital effects artists and sound designers, and that no one at any point is like, that's a vagina. Yeah, it's a vagina. I mean, come on, man. That's from the movie.
Hey, Zachary, I don't want no peepees and VVs in my Star Wars. Okay.
So let's get to Star Wars. So this movie was this movie, and I want to say first too that even though I like Nemesis, I'm very aware of how he basically, a lot of these people are very much just cultural stereotypes. Get better at your job. But I like just her fight style and stuff. Anyway, Star Wars. This was a Star Wars script, and it is very clear that it was that. And we had joked about that as we were leading up into this movie, he was just going to basically copy and paste. And then after seeing the movie, being like, he totally did. Again, visually super interesting. Like, this movie is, and I want to preface with, this movie is not a tough watch. This movie was very watchable, but watching it, knowing that it was a Star Wars script, he doesn't do a lot to really distance himself from that. It's very much, and I think that's one of the things we talk about storytelling wise, and why these bad guys don't have as much weight is because they don't have 40, 50 years and books and TV shows that establish that the Empire is bad. Like, when you're doing a Star Wars movie or like Andor or a TV show, you say the Empire's coming and you get it. They've already done all that work. When they're like, the Motherland is here, which is a total find and replace name. Like, give me a break. It's called the Motherland. Motherworld. Yeah. The fact that like it's just a find and replace, it's so hard, and it doesn't have as much weight. And there's so many other things they talk about in this movie about like the king and how she used to work for this king and now he's no longer the king, and there's a rebellion and there's a resistance, and then the guy dies and he's laying on the ground, Noble's laying on the rocks, and then a ship comes in and picks him up and puts him in a Bacta tank. I mean, it's just like it's weird. Like, we had joked that he wasn't going to put much effort into changing it, and he truly didn't.
No, it's there's even a, like you talked earlier about Charlie Hunnam's scene. The first time you meet him, you're in a divey space bar and they show you all the space weirdos one by one. Like, it's the cantina scene. And
yes,
it that actually, I will say, from a visual sense, there's a, in that scene, there's an example of the problem when the visual goes a little too far, because again, to compare it to Star Wars, you know, they had this used future aesthetic. Everything was, you know, futuristic
Well,
space stuff, but it was all
I want to talk
used.
about that next. Yeah, I want to talk about that next.
But that bartender with all the candles on his back and stuff in the divey space bar is a little bit like, oh, that's too visual. Like the Star Wars is about a usable future. This didn't seem very usable. This seemed like a robot who was kind of on fire. It was just, I don't know what that's like. That's another kind of microcosm of the entire, what's wrong with the entire thing.
Yeah, no, it's or like the alien who has to talk through somebody else talking, like puts the suctions up to him and that's how he talks. Like that stuff. I understand that, like, hey, I liked this idea and I really think this is good. And like Disney didn't want to do it as a Star Wars movie. But the fact that, like, I was so genuinely floored when I was watching it that I was like, doesn't feel like you barely changed anything. Like there is a robot in this movie that is a droid that is voiced by Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
That is clearly supposed to be some sort of like protocol droid like C-3PO. Which, by the way, I want to talk about. I know we're still talking about Star Wars. The fact that this freaking thing, it's a droid that's supposed to be helping the Mother World soldiers who have been put in place to kind of look over this small town, which is what happens in Seven Samurai, which is what happens in Magnificent Seven. Not the droid, but like this town. These people choose to like live in this town and control the people who live there. At one point, while they're talking to this droid who's supposed to be helping them, a horse-looking like creature in the background poops, and I was just like, "Good God, is this what we?" And then I was like, "But that's got. Was this in your script? Like, hey guys, what if a banta took a crap, and then what if this droid's face fell in that crap?" And I was like, "Good God, we had to see an animal poop." Like we always talk about wanting to know about what poops and what's not in these things,
Right?
But then we actually got to see it, and then it was used as a plot device. I was like, "Come on."
This again goes back into the whole tell, don't show mentality. It's like, this one's for adults. Look, that animal's crapping. Look, they talked about having sex with each other. This one's for adults.
Yeah, totally. And then there's even then later on, that same robot starts telling a story about this woman who had this special powers. And I'm like, okay, the Force, like, it's just, and then there's like the lightsabers, and it's just like nothing. He made like very minute changes. And then add that in, the one thing that he chose to kind of lean in harder on is the fact that the Empire is a fascist regime, which, as you mentioned, Verhoeven in Star Wars Starship Troopers. Like, I got that. It's very clear that you think that the motherland, I keep saying motherland. It's very apt when saying motherland, but the mother world is this fascist regime, and the way they're dressed, which I think I wrote down in the show notes, is that we've got lasers and spaceships, but we also have tie clips in this presented future.
Yeah.
Like the wearing the ties just did not work to like the design, some of the production design in this movie just did not work enough. It made it not make me feel like, where are we? What time does it take place? Like,
there must have been an ancient Earth in this reality for there to be a planet called Castor with a city called Pollux that happens to have an ancient Greek gladiatorial arena on it. Like,
yes, there's no like, we don't ground this, because again, if this was a Star Wars script, and it was, there would have been the title card of like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far. We wouldn't have even questioned it. You know what I mean?
Any of those connections to our reality would have been thematic, would have been one-off little jokes, maybe, but tenuous at best. In the way that, like, Star Wars was always supposed to be sort of bigger. Star Wars is in its infancy. It's originally a story about stories. You know, it takes on the story structure, takes on the hero with 1,000 faces. It's referential about film itself. And I think that you can sort of backdoor do the same thing with Rebel Moon. Oh, it's a movie about movies because it's about Star Wars or whatever. But I don't know that Zach was articulate enough to bake that in more than I was able to draw that out.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think there is something that is like, if you take the Star Wars, quote unquote, out of this movie, you have to replace it with something. You can't just like assume. That's why I think a lot of this, like, because we don't know when we are, we don't know where we are, we don't. And you're right, there it posits this kind of Star Warsy type future that feels kind of old. Like, the newer stuff that we get since Disney's taken over is like, no, whatever was set, the way a control panel looked in 1977 is how control panels look in Star Wars, period. Like, Lucas tried to get around that in the prequels by making all of these ships look real sleek and stuff. And it's like, but we've gone back to that. And that's kind of, we get some of that. We get some of that, like, clicking knobs and pushing buttons and stuff. But we also have, like, again, like ties and hats, like soldier hats. Like the costume choices, it just didn't ground it in anything, because you took away, you like replaced the word Empire with Mother World, but didn't replace the backstory and all the work that the Empire did to make itself seem menacing. You didn't replace any of that.
And I think that the ties and the hats are something that look cool, and the Greek Colosseum is something that looks cool.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that's why it comes in, not because it integrates well with the reality of the world they're creating, or basically that. And I think that I actually, it's funny you bring up, you don't know where or when this is, because I sometimes had a hard time following the geography of an individual scene, like getting from sequence to sequence within a scene in the same large location. Again, he's trying to go to these unique visuals that he's concocted in such a forced way that I was like, wait, where is this place in relation to the place they literally just somersaulted off of?
Yeah, there are so many different, like, locales, and we're all over that. We have the desert place, we have the kind of dark place where it's dark all the time. Like, I'm gonna throw a wrench in the curve here. I want you to I'm gonna ask you, what was your favorite sequence and what was your least favorite sequence? Because I know what my least favorite is. I don't know what my favorite was, but I know what my least favorite was. I'm curious if your least favorite is the same as mine.
My least favorite was the Hans Landa interrogation in the longhouse at the village at the beginning, because as it was an example of one of the big problems over this whole movie is, like, I know what's going to happen. I know that Corey Stoll's character is going to get killed.
Oh, I didn't know
that. Get to it. Just get to it. I don't want to see these guys talking. You haven't given them enough interesting things to say. They are saying them as if they are interesting. Every character gets a plant and blow monologue to be inspiring, I guess, but it's just Zach feeling like he's a poet that day, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that was my least favorite sequence, because I was like, just get to it, get to space, get to swords, get to spaceships.
My least favorite was Guy taming the Griffin. I thought I found all that stuff where he was flying around with it and like trying to get it under control. I just was like, oh my gosh. Like, we knew the same kind of thing. We knew as soon as the guy walked up, because it was like, well, if he can tame this thing, I'll let him go. And it's like, we're not gonna, like, he's not going to not do it, because then they're all trapped, because he was like, if he doesn't do it, then you're all indebted to me. And it's like, well, then that's the end of the movie. So clearly he's going to get out of this.
But
so there was like,
it's no tell, don't show. Hey, there's big stakes here. There's big stakes here, audience.
And I found the whole thing. I thought of all how great some of these sequences looked, I thought that the effects and stuff looked really terrible there. I thought it looked like it was like, green screen, or like, like an old, like, Clash of the Titans movie. Again, this is the Clash of the Titans sequence. There's so many things that are like it. I will say I did enjoy most of the fight scenes. I thought the whole fight scene in the first fight scene where she reveals, like, how in the barn, I thought was really great. And that was probably one of my favorite. And yeah, the fight scene in the Mos Eisley Cantina was also good.
I think the big battle at the end was probably my favorite sequence, although the whole thing is turned. The pivot point of that scene is facilitated by the turncoat character giving somebody he's just captured a weapon to use against his fellow crew members, that he turns on unnecessarily. He goes, go ahead and paralyze these guys, farmer dude.
Like, he's gonna, like, oh gosh.
And then farmer dude just, like, turns around and uses it on the guy that just gave it to him, like,
and murders
joy.
murders him. The guy who willingly sacrificed himself to save that child from the Spider-Woman, that guy's definitely not going to try to like save everybody. Like what? Like, come on, man. And then even Charlie Hunnam is like, yeah, sure. I heard you telling your story. I'll take you in. And then the fact of it was like the math of it is like, well, I heard you tell your story. So I went and gathered other people. Like, why wouldn't he gather the like high priced people before? Why did he wait until it was like, all right, well, now that this person's looking for people, I have a great way to go just gather all these people who would give me a lot of money. Like, it's just, anyway.
I want to set up a situation where I might have to possibly fight all of you at the same time. Like, so stupid.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, we've really exhausted it here. I think it's great. Again, this movie is very watchable. I will probably watch the second one, but
8.5 out of 10 stars.
Really? I wouldn't go that far.
No.
I would say I gave it 2.5 on Letterboxd because it's definitely watchable. It's definitely, but yes, like again, as we said, everything anything that Zack Snyder is even potentially good at is in this movie. And everything that he is potentially terrible at is in this movie, period.
100%. I mean, if you basically just want to see Zack Snyder's baby, here it is. What he could make an asexual reproductive clone of Zack Snyder. Here it is. Set to celluloid.
Who's your big winner for this movie?
It's Zack Snyder because he was so bad at making this movie a movie that Netflix was like, okay, we'll have to give him a part 2 to make it make sense. Because by the way, that robot we kept talking about, he and his soldier compatriot are huge characters in the first act that you don't see at all
again
until the last I don't know 150 frames of the movie that are just the robot standing in a field. But like those characters disappear, and if you have no idea a next movie is coming, you go, why did that character disappear? Anyway, I think Zach has set himself up with a new thing here, and I think it can only get better. I think that the execs from here will go, well, Zach, this is what we need to do for the next one. And he'll go, and they'll do it. And it'll be fine. It'll be great. And Zach will just get to keep making these big bad boys.
Yeah,
and because he's a reality warper.
That's a good answer. I do think Zack Snyder is definitely the big winner because, again, yeah, he gets to keep making these things. Like there are so many other directors and actors and performers who have been given so many chances with big giant IP and stuff, and it doesn't happen. Like we watched my daughter, who is part Greek. My wife is half Greek, and my daughter Greek folk dances. So she's very into Greek stuff right now because her big competition's coming up in a month. And she had heard, we were driving around, driving her to her practice, and she saw this big billboard for My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. And we were like, well, there's their movies. And so she watched the first one, and the first one's like legitimately good.
Yeah.
She was like, can we watch all 3 of them? I'm like, all right. So we watched the second one the second night. Holy cow. An unbelievably terrible movie. I've never seen a movie that was so good, the first one, to just absolutely be beyond terrible. Just unbelievable. And the person who directed that movie, guess what? He's not directed another movie since. And yet somehow Zack Snyder can roll out a bunch of turds and is still hired to do things. And so, yeah, big winner. He got to spend like tons of money. I mean, this movie is not like a low budget film. This is tons and tons of money. They unlike Marvel, they took all the time to like they spent all the money on the effects, like with the exception of the guy flying on the Griffin. Most of the effects in this movie are fantastic. I mean, big winner. And we know that obviously Sam Wilson's boat is a big loser in this scenario, but I don't know. I do think there are some other losers here.
I think it's maybe it's better that Sam Wilson's boat steered clear of these particular shores. We can be happy that our gentleman, we didn't have to see Bucky and Sam Wilson's sister going at it on the foredeck in the background of this particular one, which might have been good for us.
Yeah, I will say, to me, the big loser to me is the fact that we didn't really get a wholly standalone new piece of fandom genre content, because it didn't really venture away from his Star Wars script. It's way too close to being a Star Wars movie to be some sort of like what it's teased as, this like, oh, this brand new, not based on anything, IP that it's going to generate all kinds of it's a new thing we can follow, and it just really wasn't. It's very much it's very clearly a Star Wars movie. Yeah, it's very clearly still a Star Wars movie, because he just changed things very minimally. Yeah, that's it. We did it. Rebel Moon, part 1. Part 2 coming in April. Come back for it. Alex, bring us back with some more earthquake preparedness, please.
Right. We got Captain Larry Noodle's Earthquake Supply Warehouse. Selection so good, you'll be quaking in your boots. Some of the items they have on offer so that you can stay prepared when the Southland starts to rumble. They have a rescue axe multi-tool that features a traditional axe head, as well as notches along the handle to secure damaged utility pipes like water and natural gas. Very handy to have on hand in case you encounter leaks. Obviously, be safe. They have a whole array of basic first aid kits that are pretty great in various sizes, some small enough to fit in your wallet. Great thing to have on hand. And then also, again, they have Captain Larry Noodle's patented Earthquake Vitamins Plus. It's all the health benefits of Captain Larry Noodle's patented Earthquake Vitamins with fish oils and turmeric extract for added heart health and inflammation control. Warning, will cause complete hair loss. But studies show that people whose hair has completely fallen out from their entire body are potentially up to 15% faster than their hirsute cohort. And Captain Larry Noodles always says, speed is what you need when you're dodging debris. So that's another item from Captain Larry Noodles Earthquake Supply Warehouse. Price is so good, you'll be quaking in your boots.
Incredible stuff. I got to tell you, I love all the vitamin talk. I've been taking my magnesium and quercetin every night, baby.
And those legs are no longer restless.
Yep. Thank you very much. It's more like for a long COVID. Anyway, spoiler alert, I think I may potentially have long COVID. Whee! Anyway, do you know what time it is now?
I don't know. I've got brain fog, Kenny. Why don't you tell me?
Hey-ho. Game time. Here it is. Yep.
Ooh, folks, that's how you kick off a weekend right there. I am ready to rumble.
That's the best 1 minute of music you'll see on Twitch ever. Yeah. You ready for the game? It's my game this week. You ready?
I was born ready.
All right. I'm going to say before I say this is the last time I'm going to do this. Anyway, earlier this month, we got a teaser for the new season of House of the Dragon, a season we will cover on this show when it comes out potentially later this year, most likely 2025. HBO announced 6 new actors and the characters they will be playing, which leads us to the game, Whose House? The Dragon's House.
Say what?
I know. We're already starting off at like utter stupidity, and it's just going to go downhill from here. Here we go. The game is simple. I'm going to name an actor and their proposed character, and you have to tell me if they will or won't be on the show in season 2.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Clinton Liberty as Adam, spelled Addam, of Hull.
I hope so.
Yes. Jamie Kenna as Sir Alfred Broom.
No,
he is. That is a real character. Max Wilson as Wilf Plugman of Gorfensburg. Yes or no?
Yes, I think he is.
No, he's not. Will Maxton as Pilf Wugman of Bergengorfs.
I hope so.
Unfortunately, no, he's not.
Oh no.
Tonal Somax as Gorf Windchime Hemi McRottenbottom of Clydesdale.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're near the Sun Spear.
No, sorry.
Oh, no.
Tom Bennett as Ulf.
No, that doesn't sound right.
Yes, it actually will be.
Oh shoot.
Yes. That's a real person that's going to be on Game of House of Dragon coming up.
House of Games,
right.
Dragon of Thrones.
Tom Bennett is Ulf. Ulf Tommen is Ben.
Yes.
No.
No, shoot.
You ready?
Yes.
Matt Damon is old Ben Kenobi from Tatooine.
Oh, you mean old Ben Kenobi? Yeah, interesting. Yes, let's do it.
Nope.
Oh, dang it.
Gerd Jetson is Bull Ken Benerby from Tatline. I'm sorry. Something read like this. Bull Ken Benerby from Tatooine?
What are we doing?
I know. So I promise this is the last time I'm doing this. Maybe. Are they going to be on the show? Yes or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, dang it.
Berfel Maxelton as Berf Lingmeyer Remy McBottenrodham Whippington of Biggles.
Yes,
Berf
that's a character.
Lingmeyer Remy McBottenrotten Whippington of McRottenbotten Whippington of Biggles. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I thought that was Dominic Monaghan's character. Shoot.
No, you're number 10, Matt Smith.
Yes.
Actually, no, he's already on the show. He's not new.
Oh, dang it.
Number 11. I gotta not telegraph these. Matt Smith, but spelled TRETTFTHRETHERERERERERERE as Mitt Smath of Hogwarts. Oh, pardon my French. Sorry.
Mitt Smath is great. Yes, that's all real. That's happening.
Mitt Smath of Hogwarts. This is I'm Jimmy Falloning this so bad. I wrote this. This is me laughing at my own jokes.
So you're drunk too?
Yeah, totally. All right. Tom Bennett as Ulf.
Yes.
Yes, I already said that one.
And
that was whose house? The Dragon's house.
Say what? That was I did terrible at that game. That's the worst I've ever done on a game.
Oh my gosh. I promise that's the last time I do a name roll for I'll wait for a little bit, but they're just too much fun.
They're much fun. I don't know if you have more fun with them or I have more fun with them.
That last one, Matt Smith spelled TRETFTHRETHRERERERERERE as Mitt Smath of Hogwarts. That broke my brain.
It was fun to do.
Oh, it feels so cathartic. That's a really great way to cleanse the soul there. Another great way to cleanse the soul is to read comic books digitally over the Hoopla app. Hoopla Digital, it's on your phone. It can be on your internet, your iPad. We go there and we recommend things you can read. Alex, do you have a Hoopla recommendation for the folks?
Yeah, just been kind of for fun piecing through 2022's Justice League versus the Legion of Superheroes by Brian Michael Bendis and Scott Godlowski. It's fun. Just do it.
Brian Michael Bendis, arguably another one of the real great comic writers of the past 10, 15 years. I am still making my way through all the Scott Pilgrims. I'm now on volume 3, Scott Pilgrim and the Infinite Sadness. But based on our last show, which we talked about What If, really great season of television, I got to say. One of the most fun episodes was the episode that took place in 1602. I'm reading the 1602 by Neil Gaiman. It's called Marvel 1602. It's a little different than what happens in What If, but it's basically what if it isn't a what if, but the idea of it is what if all of the Avengers existed in Elizabethan England in 1602. It's pretty wonderful.
I really like that series. It was a frustrating series to read one issue to issue as it was coming out, as I think it was on an irregular schedule and it was sort of hard to track, but all collected together is probably really great.
That's the great thing about Hoopla is that a lot of these series that you would have to, if you were collecting during the time, you have to buy week to week. It puts them all together and binds them all together. Hold on 1 second. We have something that's definitely not a bot in the comments.
I'm glad that you chose to flag this, Kenny, because I was just about to if you weren't. And everybody, listen up. We've got some really huge information for you.
This is definitely not a bot. Hello.
This isn't coming from a robot.
Hello, Prolific Empire says, hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel viewers, followers, chats, bots, etc. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Flexible and convenient order management panel, chat panel, everything is in your hands. Turn it on, off, customize. I'm not going to go to the website, but go to the website if you're interested, but definitely don't go to the website.
Yeah,
because you're a robot.
You're a robot. You're all robots.
We're all sheeple. What do we have left to do? Oh, one more recommendation from the earthquake guy. We can get out of here soon.
Captain Larry Noodle's Earthquake Supply Warehouse. They've got a mini bookstore section with a lot of nature guides for the local area and books about forest survival. That's very handy if the worst should happen. This is very useful. They're hosting a free seminar with local firefighters and EMTs where they'll be giving out information about earthquake preparedness all weekend long at their Wilshire location. They also want to let you know that they have Captain Larry Noodle's patented earthquake vitamins Silver. These are for the aged and aging. They're the standard Captain Larry Noodle's patented earthquake vitamins with special additions to boost memory and eye health. With Captain Larry Noodle's patented earthquake vitamins Silver, your grandpa will absolutely get your grandma pregnant if that's what you're into. Warning, that's going to be one weird baby. So it's Captain Larry Noodle's Earthquake Supply Warehouse. Price is so good you'll be quaking in your boots.
What a real! I did not see that coming in a million years.
Neither did Grandma.
I was gonna say, but Grandma did. Oh boy, I think that's definitely it's time to get out of here. We're really, really slowly devolving into mush.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What did your dogs think of Rebel Moon Part 1, The Star is Born?
I was watching with Jasper. I was watching a dog named Jasper over here, and he was sitting watching with me. And he's one of those dogs that's really reactive to things on the TV, and he really took exception to the lazy horses. By the way, I've seen some lazy horses in science fiction.
Those are some lazy ass horses. They put a little hat on them, and they're basically horses. Same thing.
Yeah, these are helmet horses. That's probably what they're called in the lore. It's like, oh, we rode the Velt on the helmet horses. But yeah, Jasper did not love the helmet horses or the spider lady that they lifted directly from Doctor Who. Look it up.
Oh, Magic Nick 06 says that his dogs loved it. He actually ended up biting his arm off. So thanks a lot. Well, thank Rebel Moon for that. My dog, when I was watching Rebel Moon Part 1, based on the novel Push by Sapphire, she could not care less. She was sitting in the bedroom, fast asleep. We had ridden in, and we had just gotten back yesterday from a long drive from Mammoth. And she was like, I got no time for, she looked out and saw the space, and she was like, I don't have any time for this. I'm going to go to bed. So she went right to sleep. So, that's what happened when she was watching Rebel Moon Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Alex, where can the folks find you?
You can find me at Duke_Midnight on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and wherever major magazines are sold.
You can find me at Kenny G. Stevenson on TikTok and Twitch, 2 social media platforms I've been not doing a lot of work on, but I will. I've made a promise to myself in the new year that I will. Kenny G. Donut King on Instagram and whatever that other one is, Threads. I am Kenny G. Stevenson on Letterboxd. Find me on there. You can read my reviews of such films as Rebel Moon Part 1, The Child of Fire. We did it.
We always do it.
And we'll be back next week with all the newest thing that Marvel is doing. On Tuesday of next week, they are dropping all 5 episodes of the new Marvel show Echo. Hey, and that joke will definitely not get old next week.
You don't have to. I will.
So I don't know. We don't know if we're going to cover the whole show, or maybe we'll do a couple episodes. I don't know if we can do all 5 episodes of television in 1 hour and a half. Awesome show, but I'm sure we could. But based on what's coming down the pipeline, we should probably break it up a little bit because we might not have anything else to talk about after Echo next week. But Echo next week, but Rebel Moon, we did it. Way to go, Alex.
Hey, we're the best. You're the best. We're the Zack Snyders of podcasting, baby.
Yeah, we're going out on that one. We're the Zack Snyders of podcasting, baby. We look great, but we can't tell a story. Have a great day, everybody.
This is FCTV, fan-controlled television.
Wrong video. Let's do this one instead. Here we go.